Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this video where we now are reviewing 6 new heroes in Deadlock. They recently added a new game mode called Hero Labs where you can queue up as one of these 6 new heroes that currently only have been available through various console commands and some not available at all. So we're going to look through all of their toolkits and discuss what kind of playstyle we think they're going to have and who we think are going to be the first ones to be launched into the actual game mode. Because as of right now, these heroes are only available in Hero Labs. To start off first, we have Fathom here. A notorious monster of the deep, Fathom enjoyed cultivating an aura of mystery. He was feasting on wayward sailors. Something had to be done to save himself from fading to obscurity. So he seeks to summon the patrons to endure that he will always be the apex predator of the deep. So for those of you who have played Dota, this is essentially Slark. He has a lot of similar features to Slark. His first ability sprays water in a cone in front of you and increases your weapon damage gain per second. And the DPS also scales its spirit. So what this means is that the longer you channel this for, the more weapon damage you're going to do, the more melee damage you're going to do as well, even though it's half as much as weapon damage. And you essentially just want to stay close to your opponent. It looks like this. I don't think like the animation and sound is completely finished because it sounds like the Abrams ability as well. And it has kind of like a similar cone in that regards. But it has like a 0.4 spirit scaling. So it's actually a pretty decent damaging ability. Its second ability, Breach. It jumps forward and then knocks everybody up. So it's kind of like a combination of a small dash, but also like a ground slam or dynamo stomp. It also has a pretty high spirit scaling, so these two abilities together are going to do quite a lot of damage if you get spirit items and maybe improved burst or something. It's pretty clear that the playstyle for this hero is to get up close and personal. His gun is a shotgun. It still has pockets, a shotgun animation, which they're probably going to change. But you can clearly see that he's intended to play up close with that kind of toolkit. His third ability is Bloodletting, but that's obviously Shiv's passive, and it's just here as a temporary. Because in Hero Labs, the reason why they made Hero Labs is so that we can try out all these different heroes. We have to remember that the game is still in early development, and this is probably going to be easier for them to increase the tempo in which they finish up their heroes, because now they have access to a huge group of testers, not just their in-house testers, to give feedback on what this ability should be. They probably already have an idea, but the current iteration in the game has basically just Shiv's passive for now. But we're going to assume that it's going to be some sort of passive that is tanky, so they probably just put it there. If it is anything like in Dota, then he steals stats. His ult, I'm not 100% sure how it works yet, but throw a harpoon that latches to a surface and pulls you in. While hanging attached to the harpoon surface, you are invisible and invulnerable. Enemies that look directly at Fathom reveals the invisibility. But here's the cool thing. Passive, while out of combat and hidden on the minimap, heal a portion of your max health every second. This is another passive that also Slark in Dota has, where as long as the enemies don't see him, he regenerates his health max much faster. You can see that here. It shows up like an out of combat regen thing here, and you can see how fast his health actually goes up. It's kind of like having a built-in fortitude, pretty strong. So I think the idea with this ult is that you find somewhere where you can hang like this. Now you're invisible and invulnerable until someone looks at you, and then you get found. So I'm also noticing that you can't cast this 2 while you're hanging here on the wall. You can cast this 3 ever. I don't know if that's intentional. But either way, it's supposed to be a way to ambush people. I feel like this ult isn't that strong right now. The passive is really strong, but I'm not like sold on this one yet. But I wonder if you can use it like a getaway ability. Like you're fighting someone and then like go right around the corner and you do this. But it's just that they can see you for a brief second. So I don't feel like that's very strong, and have a feeling that harpoon thing might be reworked a little bit. Maybe we could get another hook ability? Question mark. Anyway, I know that the community has been waiting for this hero for a long time. This is one of the heroes that the community have been the most excited about. This being a Valve game and a lot of people being fans of Slark from Dota, it's kind of natural that this hero already has a lot of fans. And I'm sure there's already, look at this, there's already a bunch of builds for this hero, even though he's not in the actual game yet, just in the Hero Labs. All right, next up we have Calico, the crazy cat lady. Granted the dubious honor of being named Time Magazine's most dangerous women on the planet, Calico is an enigmatic occult arms dealer that is willing to fund any and all sides of a conflict if the price is right. While her critics and friends would correctly identify her as being amoral, sorry, I'm Norwegian. She's not without her principles, however cold and calculated those principles may be. This is another hero that a lot of the community has asked for. She's been available in the in-game client for a while. Not exactly this iteration, but a slightly different one. If you guys saw one of the previous custom games I hosted with other creators, you saw that SK and 5UP were playing Calico. So she is essentially a cat lady. Her first ability, called Sekhmet's Spirit, sends a spirit cat forward that grabs targets in its way. Grabbing a hero will cause an explosion soon after. And then you can also manually activate it to create the explosion. So if we send it on this guy,
there's nowhere to run.
It not only grabs him and brings him along, but also makes him explode. And you can also reactivate like this. So I wonder if there's a world where sometimes when you're fighting in close combat, that you just spam this.
Good girl.
Or if there's like an actual fuse timer.
Time to hunt, Ava.
Ah, it is. Okay, that's cool. But I think you can still cast it when you're next to him, right? Let me see.
Ava.
Yeah, you can.
Seek.
Okay. So in close combat, you can actually use this almost like a knockback. The next one, and this is where it's getting interesting because I'm pretty sure that all of you who are watching this video, I'm sure you've never experienced melee shiv or melee builds being a problem in your games, right? Surely you've never been punched to death by an unkillable 4,500 health player. Surely. So I'm happy to announce that this hero looks like she might be a melee character. A very strong one as well. So her pounce leaps at a target to inflict light melee damage and slow on nearby enemies. And interestingly, you may pounce on a second target if used within 3 seconds. So if I spawn in an Infernus here, I jump on this guy, now I have a short window where I can jump on another one. And it does light melee damage, but also that also scales with spirit. You can very easily do quite a lot of damage, I think. I'm not sure how the scaling works because right now it seems like you're just doing spirit damage. That's a little bit confusing to me compared to what it says here. It seems like it is melee damage, but it scales with spirit, so that's a little bit weird. It also reloads your ammo and applies a fire rate slow, and it gets extra charges. So that's pretty interesting. The third one deploys a statue to track enemies in an area. The ward will also attack enemies recently damaged by Calico, and targeted enemies have reduced healing and heal Calico when damaged. So I'm gonna show you guys the range on this. So this is the radius where you have to be within for this statue to do damage. So if I put it up here now, it's gonna start to deal damage. Wait, did they recently change this? I swear they just changed this. Wait, they did. They just changed this ability where you have to attack first. That was not the case when this came out a few days ago. I swear to God. It also didn't used to be invisible. Wait, they did change it because this used to be the normal ability. These ones have switched spots. You used to be able to teleport to this one, but now this one is invisible and will attack enemies recently damaged by Calico. And then look at this, guys. Mark your enemies and bathe yourself in shadow to strengthen your attacks and make yourself invisible. We all love invisibility, don't we? Attacking will only temporarily reveal you. Hitting enemies with melee damage will reduce their bullet resist. Parenthesis, stacking. So this is gonna be something, guys. You know why? Because it's not, the ult does not say 40% weapon damage amplification. It says 40% damage amplification. So that also means 40% more melee damage. And when you max out the ult, your heavy melee attacks cause silence for 3 seconds. And here's another thing that is really interesting about this. Melee damage does more damage when you lower their bullet resist. So this is gonna make you do so much melee damage. And on top of that, as you can see here, the duration scales with spirit as well. Now our ult lasts for 20 seconds and we are invisible. So if we now we pounce on him first. Did that just do 600 damage? That's the 40% damage amp. One heavy melee just did 400 with almost no items before you reduced. Okay. And 10. Oh! Oh, well. This was level 1, by the way. This is before the heroes leveled up properly. Okay, we have to see this in game, but this looks pretty overpowered as of right now. However, this might be overtuned just for the sake of hero testing, but it's going to be very interesting to see this here in play because I know that most of you guys really want to have more melee builds in the game. Next, we have Holliday. So Holliday, we've actually looked at a little bit before. We did play her in one of the custom games a while ago. Now she has a lore page as well. There are people who spent their whole lives dreaming about moving to New York. She's content with being a sheriff in a small town. The only time she had to use her gun was when trick shooting at the county fair. Then the murder started. Grisly and inhumane. The bodies were found with the rib cages ripped open. Oh, Jesus. Their innards picked apart as if by birds. Holliday tracked down the killer, a traveling folk musician that the media dubbed the Troubadour. But when she confronted him, he exploded into a murder of crows and flew away. That was 6 months ago. And while the murders in central Illinois have not stopped, Holliday's investigation has not. She believes that the Troubadour is traveling to New York, and when she finds him, she's going to kill that evil son of a bitch. Wait, this is like Taken. I will find you, and I will kill you. Yeah, so Holliday is a sheriff. We played her briefly, like I mentioned, but they have changed her a bit. First of all, they changed the amount of ammo she has and a little bit like damage change on the gun. But she now has a very cool passive that a lot of the gun enjoyers are gonna like. So she actually has a passive that deals bonus damage with the headshots and applies a fading slow. And it ignores range damage fall off. So every 20 seconds, you can hit a headshot and it slows them down without having to press a button. I already have a build actually. I'll probably like do some small changes to it, but this is my default one for now. You chunk. Headshots. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how that works. So this also makes it like pretty cool that since it has no range damage fall off, even from back here, you still did 300 damage with that headshot. And then I'm only gonna go over this quickly because we did go over Holliday in another video. The rest of the toolkit is still the same. You send a powder keg down. It has multiple charges. Incoming! You can shoot it. You can also punch it to make it bounce. Shoot it in the air. And you can also toss it downwards if you're using your jump pad. And here's something that's interesting. Do you notice how if I'm aiming down right now, it still tosses it forward? I believe if you melee, you can actually punch it down. Here comes the barrel! See that? So that's a pretty cool combo. So you can actually fly over someone and press melee instantly, and it punches the keg down. And this one has a 2x spirit scaling, meaning that this one can do massive damage with like improved burst and some spirit items and stuff. The bounce pad, it's kind of like Apex Legends bounce pad or all the bounce pads you've seen in the game already, except they got changed to fans now, but it's the same principle. You have some air control, you gain a movement speed. You also do a stomp when you land and a stun when you land when it's maxed out. If you guys want to see some Holliday gameplay, you can go to one of my old videos where I was playing Holliday in a custom game with other creators. The ult is similar to Batrider in Dota. You pick up a target like this and you can pull them away. One thing that is interesting about this ult is that the duration is paused for 2 seconds when you use the bounce pad once. So if I grab this guy now, notice that the timer at the bottom, it gives me another 2 seconds. So you can use this to kidnap people pretty far. You can use Warp Stone. I'm guessing you could use Majestic Leap, but you are very likely to be taking damage. I don't really think that's going to be the meta, but I think you could do that technically. Maybe Magic Carpet is actually more likely, but I might be too long of a casting time. Oh my god. I guess if you got a lot of movement speed, it could be kind of... Yeah. All right, so that's Holiday. And next up, we have Magician. Henry's parents told him he was too young and impulsive to mess with real magic, and so they gave him a deck of cards to play with. He took to Slate of Hand naturally and soon was dazzling his classmates with fantastic feats of illusions that were done without mystic artifacts or incantation. Oh my god, and then he met Savannah, and their mutual love of stage magic sparked a whirlwind romance, and they fell in love, created an act together. Henry proposed to Savannah and they married soon after graduation. Oh god, now I'm curious. Unsurprisingly, both sets of parents were not thrilled at this prospect, but they knew they were soulmates, and so they cemented their love for one another by having a blood mystic bind their souls for eternity. Yeah, of course, as you do, right? Just a normal, you know, when you're in love and all that, young. And when an onstage accident claimed both their lives, no one was sure who to blame. Henry claims Savannah was out of position. Savannah says Henry didn't wait for his cue. But one thing's for sure, since their souls are tied to each other, neither of them have been able to move on. Now, a bickering pair of ghosts, Henry and Savannah need to work together if they want to have any chance of undoing their eternal union. Two ghosts trying to get a spirit divorce. That is actually so funny. Obviously, this guy still is using Seven's gun and some of his animations, so that's clearly pretty unfinished. And he's just shooting cards. It looks so goofy, bro. Good luck last hitting with this. It's 86 meters per second bullet velocity. Oh, that is so low. Okay, so let's look at his abilities. Vexing Bolt. Fire a bolt of magic that deals spirit damage and applies a fading slow. Press 1 to redirect the bolt towards your crosshairs. Okay, so... Oh, so kinda like Wraith's card. So if I'm like here... Wait, this is gonna be really good. Interesting. I could even see a world where you like just like send it up in air and it comes back. Huh. And then we have the next one, Spectral Assistant. Summon an assistant at the target location. They mimic your attacks, throwing cards that deal spirit damage. Press 2 to swap positions with your assistant. So this is pretty cool. It's pretty cool because you can do a lot of crazy jukes with this. So now they both send their ability like that. You press it again, now you swap positions. So you can totally like bait people to follow you here, right? And then you run far away. Is there a max distance? Oh my god, wait a minute. Oh, oh boy, that can go, that juke can go crazy though. Wait. Does that mean you put one on the high ground? And you go down and fight? You go down and fight and everything, you're out here, and then boom, I'm back up on high ground. Yo, that's actually kind of sick. Huh. And then we have this one. Speaking of abilities that are similar to Dota, Hex a target, transforming them into a rabbit. Rabbits are smaller and move faster, but receive a damage amp and cannot perform most actions. Let's see how the rabbit looks like. Aha. Yep. That's definitely a rabbit. Yep. That's a rabbit. And you can self-cast it, and then you'll get increased movement speed. So you can also use it as like a sprint. This is pretty interesting because there's very little hard CC in this game. without items. Like most of the hard CC come from buying curse and silence and knockdowns and all that stuff. But like, there's not like an overwhelming amount of stuns yet, unless you have the perfect comp. But this is going to be one of those, like, blink in, get a hex on a target and just blast them. So yeah. By the way, hex does not interrupt abilities. Interesting. So I'm gonna assume that it silences them. Oh my god, wait. Hex nearby enemies for half the duration? Wait. What's the radius on that? Oh, that's the radius. I see. Damn, okay. Another interesting thing is that the damage amp scales. Now we have 127 spirit. Oh my god. 30%, 38% increased damage taken. You can make some crazy burst comps with this now. Wait, if the hex is 4 seconds, can't you just melee people to death? Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Okay. The ult seems to still be Paradox ult. This is obviously a placeholder because this hero is in Hero Labs and under development. So I'm curious to see what that's going to do. But yeah, I'm pretty interested. I think this is definitely... When a hero has an ability such like instant cast, a 4-second disable, you kind of know that that can be very valuable in a laning stage. Next up, we have Viper. So, Viper, when it comes to breaking the law, not getting caught is a pretty important part of the job. Viper never got that memo. Luckily for her, it's a her, okay? If there's one thing she's better at than being arrested, it's escaping out of jail. Having done time in every major prison in the tri-state area, Viper's built an impressive network of street-level lowlifes that owe her one. She's also built an impressive network of street-level lowlifes that want her dead, but she tries to focus on the positive. Dude, whoever's writing these like lore pieces, they are actually hilarious. So let's go over Viper's ability. The first one is Hook Blade. It tosses a blade dealing spirit damage. The blade then hooks back, applying spirit damage again and applies a slow. It seems to only apply the slow on the way back. Let's double check that just to be sure. Also, you seem to be starting with an extra stamina. You start with 4 instead of 3. That's pretty cool. I couldn't even tell. Wait. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, not a fancy ability, just slow. I mean, it's cool that it can hit multiple people. If you wanted to bounce back as quickly as possible, you'd probably just throw it at their feet, like this, instead of having to wait. Unless you want to wait, depends. Also, there's both the initial damage and hook damage scales its spirit, by the way. Lethal Venom. This is an interesting one. Inject a target with lethal venom. After a delay, the venom triggers dealing spirit damage. The damage is increased by the target's missing health. So I'm pretty curious to how much damage this is actually gonna do. Let's spawn an Inferno.
Things are only gonna get weirder, my friend.
So that means that if his health is like, let's see his health is like 50. Oh. Interesting. Oh my god, wait, guys, look at the spirit scaling. Max venom damage has a 3x spirit scaling, and it also has a healing reduction. Oh, interesting. That can be devious. 3x spirit scaling? Oh my god. Okay, interesting. That seems strong. One thing that is interesting is where it's different from Maledict in Dota is that it's not about the damage it has been taken during the time the poison is on you, but it's straight up just damage based on what their current health is, similar to the Necrophos ult in Dota. I'm sorry I'm using these references, by the way. I know it helps for some of you that play those games, but yeah. Anyway, so that's pretty interesting. And then, look at this. Now this is a pretty insane passive. You get +2 stamina, +25 slide distance, +50% evasion while sliding, and you can slide upstairs and turn faster while sliding. By the way, look at our stamina now. Without any items. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stamina. And you can slide and you have a lot more slide control. And you can slide upstairs. Let me get some momentum.
You ever see a gun shooting jaded bullets?
Okay, but it gets even better because you have infinite ammo. Speaking of this gun, look at the bullet spread. You can slide backwards facing the same direction during laning. Wait. Nah, bro. Dude, someone's attacking your tower. Nah. Oh, God. Okay, anyway, and then his ult. And this is an interesting one, guys. Create a hexed area on the ground. After a delay, all units in the cylindrical area are petrified and also suffer spirit damage. I think this can be an insane mid-boss stealing ability. So everyone in this radius gets petrified. Both enemies and friendlies, by the way. And I believe it also goes through unstoppable. So let me try to pop unstoppable. See that? Even though I'm unstoppable, I am still petrified. There is a damage. It says that 200 damage is the max petrified block. So that means that if this guy gets petrified, see that? You can break him out with enough damage. So this guy's gonna be cool. I do think that they have to nerf that sliding shit. That looks to maybe get... I mean, you know what? You know what I like about this? I like that they're kind of like thinking outside the box. Because this is definitely like a very different direction to take from like the current heroes with the like actually having such a strong passive. And also permanent bullet evasion while sliding. All right. I mean, I also think that this thing isn't going to be that great in team fights because you do get slowed down a lot when you're in team fights. So I don't know how efficient it's actually going to be to shoot like this. But yeah, anyway, pretty cool. And then the last one, Wrecker. Wrecker is another hero we previously had a look at for a bit. When he was in the game files, we tried him in a custom game. I'm curious to see if they've changed any of the abilities now. He looks like a Uber Eats delivery driver that got a baby with clockwork from Dota. But anyway, when the Maelstrom first hit New York, it didn't just usher in a new age of mysticism to the world. It changed geopolitics from CIA-employed seers identifying threats decades before their rise to power to occult pacts made in smoky backrooms. Countless wars and atrocities have been prevented. Doesn't mean there's no war. Paranormal military companies have risen to prominence. These groups, using a combination of extraplanar creatures and various blood magics, have found ways to circumvent the guardrails established by the nation's watchdog oracles, allowing them to function as proxies for nations seeking to wage war. Okay, when we played Wrecker in a custom game a while ago, we straight up one-shot people with the ult. And I wonder if they've changed anything about that. Because that was ridiculous. Now let's check the other abilities first. Create a large ball of scrap that can be thrown, damaging and stunning anyone it hits. The ball takes time to create and you move slower while carrying it. Ball. The cool thing about this one is that it actually interrupts, by the way. That's an actual stun. So this one interrupts 7 ult and stuff. It's kind of like Viscous Ball. A little bit hard to use though, I can't lie. But I'm curious to see how this is going to work. You can't jump while you have it either, which is pretty annoying. But yeah, curious to see how this works, because it's kind of like a Walmart viscous ult. I also feel like Wrecker looks like he's from old Neon Prime, which was like the old version of Deadlock before it became a game in like the early 1900s New York. This guy seems like he belongs more in that Neon Prime futuristic shooter that this game used to be. So I'm wondering if that's going to be changed. But they clearly want to put this hero into the game fairly soon, considering he's one of the 6 heroes in Hero Labs right now. The next one is stuns an enemy trooper or NPC, damaging them while held. A successfully killed provides a fire rate bonus and restores a bioblast charge. So basically, if you look at this bioblast ability, it's now got 4 charges. And the cooldown is pretty long for it to recharge. It recharges once every minute. It's very slow. But if you consume this guy, now it recharged 1 bioblast charge. Now we also have increased 25% fire rates. However, I will say his gun is absolute doo-doo.
Like humans,
His
they don't like
bullet
getting
velocity is okay. I don't know. He doesn't feel that great to use. It feels similar to Mirage's gun, I guess. It can consume tier 3 monster, but it's based on damage done. If it doesn't kill it, it's not gonna give you a bioblast charge. However, it does heal you a bit too. So the way I see this is an ability you use in the laning stage to have more sustain, because it heals you for 150 on a 12-second cooldown. That can actually be very strong in the laning stage. And then the bioblasts, it's an AoE, slow, pretty standard. You see the area there. So what you want to do is usually use your ult, you land on them, and then use that after. So let's talk about the ult for a second. You launch a flying shadow copy of yourself that you control, teleporting to your original body to wherever it lands. The teleport explosion slows enemies and deals damage based on how long you were flying. So in some ways, this is similar to Great Talent's ultimate, except you get teleported to the destination where you land. There's, however, a few differences. It doesn't stun like Great Talent's ult does, it slows instead, but its damage increases per second flown, and you can see that it has a 0.5 spirit scaling. And interesting, because it's damage per second flown, it would also mean that superior duration would also increase the damage a lot, because it would increase the time you can fly for. So now essentially we have an ability that lasts for 21 seconds, and this is where it gets crazy in my opinion. It increases the damage by 87 for every second. So let's look at this. So let's try to just fly around. It looks pretty silly, by the way. Oh, yeah. Ew. So now we just want to wait for the duration to almost run out before we hit him. And now look at the damage. Okay. Let's see, how much was that? 1,729. So, I don't know. Out of all the heroes in Hero Labs right now, this is the one that is a biggest question mark to me. I don't think his ult is very fun. We did a custom game. You can always check that game out if you want. And I was playing this hero, and it honestly was only fun for a little bit, because first of all, you would basically just be standing in your base and just casting Astral Walk, because the rest of your toolkit isn't that important. It doesn't feel very interactive. You just want to stay far away because your body is still exposed while you're casting the ult. Maybe there's a way where you can get a gun build with the consume and everything, but I don't think that would be that good. I honestly think that this hero is the biggest question mark to me out of the 6 heroes in Hero Labs, and I think this hero will see a lot of change, and I think they just added this one to the Hero Labs because he is a playable hero, so there is more stuff to try and to give feedback on. Because I don't think that the ult makes sense in this game. I think Great Talent's ult makes sense, but I feel like this ult just makes it so that the hero doesn't want to do anything. You just want to get your items and then kind of just stand and spawn and fly around. And I don't like the idea This is the same reason why the old Great Talon ult was bad. So the way it worked before was that Great Talon's ult, you had to get the killing blow to get spirit scaling from your ult. He gets 5 spirit every time he gets a kill. Then they changed it to be a 3-second grace period where you also get spirit power even if it's an assist. And this makes sense because now you're doing what's optimal for the current teamfight situation. You're using the bird to either make them low, to stun them, to interrupt an ability or something, instead of just having to wait and bait and try to hit your ult at the perfect timing, which just like doesn't feel fun. And this ult to me feels like it's in the same category. There's like a team fight that breaks out and you're like, yeah, just give me 1 second, guys. Like your team's on the ground and they're like, yo, help us. We need help. And it's like, yeah. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to fly away for a bit. Yeah, guys, just stay alive. Yeah, I'm on about 500 damage now. Yeah, just give me 1 second, guys. Oh, I see you right there. Oh, yeah, but I can't kill him. You just give me a second. Yeah. All right, I'll be right there, guys. Yeah, just don't die. Don't die. Yeah, I got you. Okay, I'm going in. And then you go in and you do 2,000 damage. So, yeah. It doesn't... To me, it doesn't make sense. Maybe some of you will disagree, but I think this here is going to get changed a lot. I don't see any, like... I understand how these two have a relationship, like this one restores a charge in this one and stuff, but it feels pretty bland. I think this guy will be reworked a lot. However, I do like the idea of having a character like this with the fucking Uber Eats box in the back and stuff. Yeah, how the hell do you headshot this guy from behind? He's shooting his pizza box. Anyway, that was it for today's video. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what your favorite hero was out of these 6 and what you think is gonna get reworked. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.